All right, so bit of a different video today. I'm not going to be having my face cam because whatever, too many resources, whatever, can't be bothered. What I am going to be doing is basically I have this concept here. Thanks. I have this concept here for redesigning the wave system. So this is for the Samurai vs Zombies 2 Kaizen mod. That is over here. It is this mod I'm making for Samurai vs Zombies Defense 2, which will basically, well, it says here, it will just rebalance the game as well as add more features, and this will kind of tie into, eventually, the kind of stuff I've planned for Shin, Samurai vs Zombies Defense, which is a separate fan game. So Kaizen is a mod of Samurai vs Zombies Defense 2, and Shin is a fan game made from scratch. So that's the difference, right? But many of the concepts in this game, in Kaizen, I will carry on to Shin because, if they're good, then I might as well. So one thing I want to do for Kaizen is redesign the wave system, as I said. So here is a wave, this is WaveCommandSchema from the second game, and this is basically how it's laid out. Now, I've already made some changes, but, so like for example, in the original, the original version of the decomp, this command hold doesn't exist. So I added that, that's new. But otherwise, if I look at like Wave 21, right, all of this stuff is how it looked before. And this is like the default vanilla wave system, wave command system. Now what I want to do is change it to this. So here on Discord, I have gone ahead and figured out a better system, which is more flexible. So just give you a quick breakdown so you can kind of get up to speed with what we're actually doing here. For the old wave system, you would only have 3 fields: index, enemy, and command. Index is redundant, like I can remove this and it makes no difference because you can see here 1 matches here, 2 is 2, 3 is 3. So this is actually useless, which means you actually only have 2 fields really. We have the enemy field and the command field. Now, the enemy field is self-explanatory. It's just you choose which enemy to spawn. So if I want to spawn Tochinobake, then I will just do enemies.Tochinobake, and enemies comes from enemy schema over here. That's what that's referencing. And then the command can be something special. So if it's null, then it means you can basically just remove it. It makes no difference. But if it has this format, a number, comma, number, that means it is a delay. So, I'm not going to get into too much detail how it works, but just basically, look at the first number, and that's how many seconds it is between the next spawn. It can get more complicated, like here you have 2, 3, which is 2 different numbers, but for the most part, it is literally just the same. And that's pretty much it. There's also one more other thing, which is like, if there's an example here. Yeah, here. So here you have command opening bracket, and then a closing bracket over here. That's like, don't spawn these enemies inside the brackets until these ones are dead. That's how that works. So, and that's it. That's basically the entire wave system. It's not terrible. Obviously, it works, like, they made the game, right? And this is how it runs. But it leaves a lot to be desired. And if you want to make your own waves, it can be quite tedious. For instance, you can see here that you need to write the same thing, Tochinobake, 3 times in a row. When it would be a lot more convenient if you could just, have your enemies of Tochinobake and then have a count of 3. So that's what this count field does. And I've also added a spacing field. So since again I'm spawning them, kind of automatically, the spacing fields let you decide how spaced apart they are. So before you'd have to do like Tochinobake and like add a delay 2 seconds, another one, a delay of like 2 seconds. But here you just say spawn 3 and make them, roughly loosely spaced, tightly spaced, whatever you want. So that's that field. Start mode is how do I explain this? It's like when they spawn, let's say. So like if it's so look at the second one for instance. You can see here it spawns a light melee zombie. If it's start mode after, it means it will spawn after this finishes, right? But if you have overlap, it means that it will spawn at the same time as the previous one, and that can be useful for like, if you just want to have different enemies spawn together. Because for enemy type, you can only specify one enemy to spawn, like one type of enemy. And you could, if if the system allowed lists, then I could do that, but it's not very flexible. If I were to like make a list here, I need to like create a new data table, and it's just too much. So what I've done instead is you have one enemy type, and then you can overlap to have different enemies spawn together. Then you have advanced at. This is like when to well, actually, so what I'm going to do, for those who know Plants vs. Zombies, is kind of like that, where you have the 50% rule. And what happens with that is that enemies will only spawn the next wave. Well, okay, that's not phrased very well. The next wave of enemies will only spawn when you have defeated 50% of the health of the previous wave. That's how that works. And I want to add this to Samurai vs. Zombies defense, so like it's a bit more dynamic and not just like, like very set time intervals. So if you have advanced at, this is, although it's a decimal, it's actually a percentage. So 0 is 0%, 1 is 100%, and by default, which is why they're not here, advanced at is 0.5, which means once you have defeated 50% of the health of the previous wave, the next wave spawns. If you make it 1, then it means that the next wave only spawns when 100% of the health has been depleted. So that obviously means that when all the enemies have been defeated, then the next one spawns. And if you do it 0, then it just spawns immediately, which is basically just using overlap. So I might even like consider, do I need to have overlap, like this start mode overlap thing? But I don't know. I'll think about it, because there might be other start modes I add as well. I'll come back to that later. And then role. Role is not actually going to be used, but I passed this to ChatGPT and it suggested that I add roles because it can be good for like data analysis. If I want to like kind of analyze the structure of a wave. So I can see here, like I have swarm, then I have a tank, then I have swarm, then I have a tank. So not only can that be useful for like, programmatical analysis, if I program some kind of an analysis system, but also just like me reading it as a human. If I put role at the top instead, then that means that I can just see, okay, I have a swarm, I have a tank, and that's just useful for my brain, right? And likewise, you have the type system here. So type equals spawn, type equals delay, if you want to set custom delays. This isn't necessary either, because like I could just check, okay, it's a duration, it's an enemy type, and then go from there. But I quite like having it explicit, because that just means that you have to actually, well, again, so like if I'm reading it, then I can just see, okay, spawn, 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 delay, right? It's just a lot faster, not much more effort, and it's helpful. So that is what I'm going to try and implement. So again, I have this old system, and now I'm going to make it into this, this new format. So how are we going to do this? Well, this video, aside from just explaining all that, I'm going to go and show you, well, I'm not going to show you how to do it, because I don't actually know how to do it yet, but I'm going to show you the process of me figuring out how to do it. So this is, well, for those unfamiliar with how the game is set up, these TXTs have been extracted from a data bundle. Zeroons has a whole video about that, which I will link in the description, because that's just good to watch if you want to figure out how to edit Samurai vs. Zombies 2 data in general, not just wave data, but you can see I have all these different TXT files for all sorts. So very useful, very important, I should say. And, well, this is the wave command schema, right, which is for the wave commands. So if I here, you can see I have wave 001, the first wave, and then the commands for that wave. Now, if I want to edit this, not just the data, but the format and how it's processed, then I need to go to WaveCommandSchema in the code. So each schema file seems to have its own class, corresponding class. And you can see here we have WaveCommandSchema.cs, CS for C#. And that's it. It's a very simple class, honestly, all things considered. But you can see that it has been marked with the data bundle class, tag, or whatever these square brace things are called. And it's called WaveCommandSchema, of course. And then inside you have your different thingies. So you have the key here, which is the index. If I just go back to the other one and go to a more original example, you can see here I have the index as well. So that's that. You can see here that the key, well, for those unaware, a key is like the unique identifier for a table entry. So all these are entries, individual, and then these are the keys. And you can see that index has been marked as a key, so the index value is used as the key, which is why it appears twice, and also why you don't even need it in the first place, because it's already there. Then I also have 3 more fields. So I have the enemy field, which you can see over here, the command field, which is over here, and the enemy group field, which is actually used, I think, up here. Yeah, enemy group. And this just accesses enemy group schema, which has like predefined groups that will spawn. It's an interesting system. I might make use of it, but chances are I probably won't bother because that just adds more overhead. Like, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But those are the few fields. So if I want to add more fields, then quite obviously, I just need to add to this, and that'll be a good start. Anything to explain here? Well, you have data bundle fields. These are used for anything that isn't a key, because that's what you fill out. Column width, I'm not really sure what this is. I don't think it's particularly important, but they're all just 200 by default. Well, 200 in the files, so might as well copy that over. So let's start with, let's do counts. I think that's a pretty intuitive starting point. So let's do public count is going to be an integer, so we just do int and then just count. And look at that, we have a count. And then we need to go ahead and data bundle field with a column, not column attribute, column width of 200. Obviously, I could just copy paste this, but I'm just typing it out for the vibes. And then the other fields, these other tags, I still don't know what these are called. But you have here data bundle schema filter. So this is important for, if you look at here and here, you see how it goes, enemies are crawling towards a tutorial, right? This accesses from enemy schema. So crawling towards a tutorial would access this, sorry, voice crack, this one down here. And that's what this does. It just says like, okay, this is actually a data bundle record key, I guess, of the type enemy schema. That's it. And then you also have this, like a table filter. I'm not actually entirely sure what function this serves, like what purpose it serves. Maybe it even works without it, but I don't know. It's a table filter, whatever that means. I don't know. I'm just gonna ignore it for now and hope that it doesn't come back to bite me. So if we're just adding a basic data type, like an integer, then that is fine. All we need is to say it's a data bundle field. So let's go ahead and do that for the others. Like advanced at, for instance, that'll be a public float called advanced at, and we'll go ahead and give it this. I actually haven't taken time to like review these names here. Advanced at, is that a good name? It's like what percent they've did at, right? So I could call it like advanced percentage or something. I could also change it so like it just reads 50%. That also wouldn't be too bad. I don't know. I'll just leave it like this. So then we have that. And I think the rest are enums. So I'm not entirely sure how enums work with this, but I assume it's actually just going to be straightforward. Like, okay, so we have type at the start, right? So let's do enum. This is how you even do it. Public enum, I think. Public enum type. Open that up. And we're going to have spawn delay. And delay, sorry. Two different fields. That's not very idiomatic. Let me just do that. And then let's do a data bundle field and just do public type. And I'm guessing that will work. Okay. So let's go ahead and just go here, data bundles, compile English. This will compile it. Okay. Doesn't seem like I have any errors from that. So now let's go back to our file over here and let's test it. Let's do a count of 3 and let's do type equals spawn. I believe that's just it. Just type it like as a string. And then that should be fine. Now I assume that it will throw an error if like it doesn't recognize a field. So let's see if it throws one here. Compiling with WaveCommandSchema. Yep, no errors there. Oh, here we go. Fields, info, null, type. Okay, you can tell me which one it is. No, but I got two different errors for that. Oh, here, sorry. Null, uh, null field type and count. So it has actually said that these fields don't seem to exist. So I'm wondering, or is it that they're missing? Hmm, that's interesting. Um, okay, I mean, this is definitely saved. I don't know, was this here before? I genuinely don't remember this. I don't remember if this is here before. But let's go for wave schema. So, once again, this video isn't me just teaching. This is me like also learning on the fly. So I assume I can remove that. Um, yeah, that's interesting. So it actually doesn't recognize my fields. And I wonder if that's because I need to put it somewhere else as well. So let's do wave command schema there. Um, I was actually able to edit something before. I just can't remember what it was exactly. What did I do? I edited. Ooh, I assume it was this actually, this file. Maybe. There's a good time to take a look at the backlog, probably in the modding channel. Okay, this was me like trying to mess around with the system before. Um, okay, a bunch of code there. Um, yeah, no. Okay, no notes on that. Well, that's great. So let's break this down. Why would counts not be recognized? Like, I assume the script's definitely been reloaded because I've saved it and I've opened Unity and that should save it. Mm, oh, not sure where those just magically came from. Log error, pop on string at compiler 117. Okay, let's actually just look at that then. So let's go out of our scripts, go into our editor, data bundles, and the compiler script. And let's actually see what the error is specifically. So this is 117. Here, field info null. So if skip line contains equal sign, then equals null. Field info equals type fields I. Type fields dot length, type fields. What's type fields then? Something like that, I guess. If type fields dot name equals field name. I see. So it checks the different fields. Like, is type of field, is this a field, is that a field? Okay. Where does it get these, though, like these names from? So type fields, data bottom dot scheme somebody dot get type dot get fields. Okay. Interesting. How does get fields work? Can I see a definition for that? Or is it not in this file? Um, yeah, get fields, get fields, get fields, get fields, get fields. Okay, it's probably somewhere in here then. Alright, hopefully. No. Uh, I'm gonna scan the entire project, see what I can find. It's possible it's just a built-in function, but schema get fields, schema get fields. Okay, what actually is schema? Type. Okay, what's type? We talk about that. That won't track it for me. Go to the first definition, please. type T. Okay, is there any definition of type? No, that's so weird. Is there an imports? Reflection, maybe? Okay, so this is a good time to check, well, ChatGPT, really. So let's go, we've got this. I'm gonna go to ChatGPT and just ask it, actually, Unity C#. Any idea what get fields does here, or where it's from? I can't find its definition in my project. Okay, so this one refactoring library. Oh my god. System.type. Okay, that was correct. Cool. Okay, so I want to tell it then, and this is the real power of ChatGPT, just basically having an assistant that just knows stuff, about the language. Because I mean, I'm not a C# expert by any means, so it's just useful to know. Okay. I've updated this class to add more fields, but they don't seem to be registered by, well, registered like be picked up by, get fields. Any idea why? Let's post the class in there. See what it says. Because there might be like another file, but I'd be surprised if there is, because I don't see any mention of it. Okay, get fields and seeing public fields, something else. Yeah, that's fine. Different type than you think. Well, why did it integer? But this is just the name. Okay. Okay. Add fields, commands finds, alt layouts, missing fields. Okay, so var type, table execute, get type name, typical log, full name, single join. Well, okay, I could add that. Domain reload, Unity cache. I'm assuming it's a Unity cache issue. It says to just restart Unity. So let's give it a try. Let's restart Unity and see what happens. Because I haven't closed it for like 2 days, to be fair, as well. So it doesn't take too long. Just open up SvZ2. Should be relatively quick. Okay. Any errors? No. Okay, let's just compile, see what happens then. Cool, no errors. So there you go. It worked. Just had to refresh Unity's cache by restarting the application. But just like that, I've added a type and a count. So now I want to try adding an invalid type. So here I have this, right? Let's go ahead and add something like foo. This is not a real type, so it should throw an error because it's not an accepted enum value. Unless I misunderstand how C# enums work, but hopefully not. There we go. Perfect. The value foo was not found. So change this back to spawn. Great. Let's go ahead and do this. So that's play. Wrong one. Compile English. Nice. Compiled. No errors. So that is perfect. There is a default thing here. I wonder if there's like a thing that can make a field mandatory, so you must include it with like no defaults at all. God, my voice is just cracking over and over. But hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could. Yeah, I don't know. That's a issue to solve when we come to it. So knowing that enums works and this works, I'll just go ahead and add the other fields now. Pretty straightforward. So we have type. I'm not going to call it enemy type. I'm just going to keep it called enemy because I don't know, it's less verbose. Count, that's fine. Spacing. So let's add spacing. Just get another. Actually, I'm just going to copy this. Place it here. Call it spacing, like so. And then we're going to have loose, moderate, and tight. So tight spacing, loose, and moderate spacing. Quite, I don't know, quite idiomatic, I guess, Englishy. And then we also have start mode. So start mode, whoopsie daisy. I can't remember what other ones could exist, but we're going to have after and overlap. I guess other ones that come to mind are like before, but that doesn't really make sense. Just change the order. And I don't know. The good thing about making enum is that in the future you can change it and just add like another option, so that's quite handy. And I want to put role underneath type. So we got swarm, tank, I don't know, like is role that useful? Like you have like tank, like pressure, but you might want to have multiple roles as well, right? Like a swarm of tanks. So is role really that useful? Honestly, I'm gonna say no. I'm actually not going to include the role, just because like I don't want to pigeonhole. Um, yeah, like I don't want to define these boundaries too strictly. Because then it's like, well, is my what if I have a swarmy tank? You know, well then like I have to like fit into this category, and it'd be nice to have multiple roles, but once again, lists aren't supported in an easy way. So I will not be including that. Okay. So decision made to remove role since it's quite inflexible without list support. Yeah. I mean, I could like add list support myself, but I'd just be like really couldn't be arsed. I'm gonna be real. So if I ever add it, I can come back to that later. Whatever, who cares? Um, yeah, there we go. Now, index is a bit misleading because the waves aren't actually like it's funny. These don't have to be in order, and you can see like in an actual example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, left child, blah 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 blah. Okay, well, funny enough, the one wave I choose actually is in order. But like here, you have 52, 53, 1. It's like what? It's like 9, 10, 56. Okay. And like this happens in order. So like it will go to 10 and then it'll go to 56 and then it'll go to 54, 11. So it's just messed up. So technically index is kind of useless, but whatever, I'll just leave it as it is. Because this just can't be ours, man. Like I don't know I don't know what else I'd put it to. And yeah, I guess that's good to go. Right. So I'll just commit this here on GitHub. Add more wave command schema fields. Cool. Sync those changes. And that's basically all we need to do for the wave command schema class. Now I'm aware that some other classes have like different stuff as well. So if you look at the wave schema class, we have these private classes inside, so these nested classes. And then we have like this, I don't know, this const variable, max enemy types, okay? Oh, that's interesting actually. So these aren't even like data bundle fields. They're not marked as data bundle fields, but they still show up. So do I even need to have this at all? Okay, that's a bit strange. Maybe something about the column width, but I just don't know what I'll have. I'll leave it in for now, but it's just a bit strange that that's not there. Yeah, what? Here it's only used for the music. Okay. This is a list, which is interesting. But I think this is different. Do these show up? Oh, this is actually fascinating. So if I check Wave Schema real quick over here, um, I kind of deleted old ones, but let's look at like this, endless waves. We have rewards, which is this one. So yeah, so these don't actually show up. These are separate. It's just not very clear because like they're not marked as separate. But these won't be parsed here. We also have these like functions, these methods inside the class for some reason. So initialize a record. Okay. A lot of initialization. That's private. Private. From index, pick random record, just produce a record. Okay. So I'm guessing you can just call this class like anything else, I guess. And get some like special information. I wonder how that works. Like let's look at a record, right? Table name count. What's count do? Runtime is not equal null. So if it's not null, then get record table length, and that's this type of wave schema table name. So it accesses the wave schema and it gets table name. Okay, that's interesting. So it accesses this data bundle runtime class, which stores all the actual data, and then it just checks for itself. So like you could just use this, but I guess adding the method inside the class itself, like wave schema the class, just makes it a bit more, well, just a bit easier. Because like instead of having to do like access a data bundle runtime instance and then get this thing, you can just do, return wave schema dot count, right? And it's static, so it's a utility function, so I don't need to like have an instance of it, and that's it. Then just do table name. So then these become the same thing, but just that this is easier in it. I mean, I assume it's that way anyway. I don't see like an instance variable, so okay, I see the vision. Well, maybe that'll come useful here at some point, but for now, I'll just ignore that. So here we have our wave manager. We have different command types. I don't have commands in this one, so I just don't need to include that at all. Oh yeah, I also need to add, I completely forgot, over here, I have a duration, which is a float. So enemy count spacing. Nice. I'll just do here as well. Public. Well, yeah, data bundle field, whatever. And then have a public float duration. And that'll be used for, oh my god, watch just keeps tracking. That'll be used for if this delay thing is true. Right? Delay? Yeah. Whoopsie daisy. I quite like this. I have comment on my, I think. Yeah, this is not related to the video, but just checking quickly. I don't know. Okay, so let's get implementing this code now. So now we have the fields. Next, we need to actually add it. So command type, this is going to be removed. Yep, because I'm removing the command keyword, also the command fields, and making it more explicit. So I'll come back to this later, but that is going to be unused. Wave type, sure, don't know how that's used. Come back to that at some point. Wave cycle multipliers, okay, I don't care. Are these constants even used? Nope. I just don't understand why like these variables exist if they're not used. But you got a minimum and a max spawn delay. But if they're not used, I'll just remove them. Enemies max 10. Okay, remove that as well. Let me just run the game to check that hasn't broken anything. Yep. Let's go to a wave here. Yeah, no issues. Okay, so let's just clean some stuff up a bit. Special boss name, is that used? Yeah. Okay, so it's also a function apparently. By default, it's an empty string. Okay, interesting. Yeah, just come to that later. Wave index, that's actually used, good. Don't know why these have m next to it, but these doesn't, even though it's also a private variable, but okay. Wave type, box collider, okay, whatever. So, here's our schema, which is called root data for some reason. Not the best name, but whatever. I'll just call it wave data. Dictionary of country data. Okay. So a few things here. No more constants, which is good. If I was using a different IDE, maybe it would tell me which variables are unused. But it seems like all of these are used to some extent, although some might just be useless. So come back to this later. Yeah, is wave done? Data. Okay, for some reason that one's called data. This one isn't. Sure, that's public. Which is good because we can access the data. Data bundle record key. Okay. This private set. Okay. Total enemies. This is used for like detecting if all the enemies have been defeated. If all the enemies have been defeated. In fact, yeah, it's used a whopping. Well, that's private. This is private. Here you go. Enemies killed so far. Yeah, also same thing. This is strange. Comment on later. Skip next legion. Okay. Whatever. So now looking at the actual code, like the actual methods. Interesting. Um, yeah, you can see I've already gone through these before. Collapse them. Don't need that. Run next command. Okay. That's important. Get command is important. Delay timer is very important. Don't need this function. Don't need this function. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Don't need that function. Command type. Yeah. Character data. No, don't need that. Description enemy. Don't need that. No. No. Okay. So, probably the most important function. Okay, this is okay for now. But it's really run next command. That's like the main thing. You can see update just causes update delay timer. So that's important. Gateway data. Let's just cause this one. Yeah, okay, pretty straightforward. Nice. So if we just check, run next command is run, I see when the update delay timer function, and it just basically says when the delay has finished, then just run the next command. Now that works fine for this system over here, the old one, because you can see like, you just spawn, have a delay, spawn, have a delay. For R1, it's going to be a little bit different. So for instance, we're going to include advanced at, that's a whole mechanic. I'll probably do that towards the end. Oh yeah, I should know that overlap, like it also disregards advanced sat. Whoops. Huh. How does it look like delays actually? I don't know. I'll have some like default delay. Yeah, I'm kind of rambling, but just thinking a bit. Okay, so let me just reformat this real quick. It's a bit more readable. I know that this is a decomp, but it might be like it might not be a perfect decomp. I mean, sorry, like the decompilation might not be an exact copy of how the developers formatted it. So you get like these functions that are just a bit, I don't know, messy. Um, yeah. So it says to 0, if it's less than 10, then just run this command. Okay. Yeah. If it's more than 0, then just return. For the return, lets you remove this nested code. W, removing nested code. All my homies love this simple trick. Yep, if it's more than 0, return. Otherwise, hit 0. That's useful if it goes below 0. Yeah, okay. So this is run every time the delay, sorry, like the spawn countdown, I guess, comes to a close. Because for those unaware, this update thing is called every frame. So we need to check every single frame has the countdown finished yet. So that's cool. We probably want to focus on rewriting this. So before there was a whole command system, right? Um, I should have code here. Yeah. So I don't know what I actually don't know what M is holding is for. Um. Oh. Okay. So funnily enough, I created this variable. Is holding is just like, is it waiting for the next wave, for the current wave of enemies to be killed before the next wave starts. It's called like the hold mechanic. Not going to get into too much detail because I'm going to remove it, but it just checks that if it is no longer holding and there is an enemy to spawn, so it's not empty basically, not empty, then what? Spawn the enemy. Yeah, so that's how it works. So, first things first. How do I get WaveManager.commands next command to run.enemy.key? So I assume like .enemy is just like accessing like this here, right? So I should be able to just do if wave root data dot commands next command to run dot what would this be? Whoops. So I want to check what the type is, right? So we'll do .type. I'm saying is it equal to wave command schema dot type dot spawn. Okay. In fact, I'm not going to do this. I'm actually going to make this a case, a switch statement, because that would make more sense, wouldn't it? So we're switching type. I'm just going to say, let's open this up. Case, boom. Sorry, enum. I don't like how it isn't recognizing as enum, but whatever. And then if it's a type, we run our spawn code. So for now, I'll just copy and paste that in. And then just for our default, whoops, I just do break. And then for our default case, for now, we'll just break. Okay, so let's just flesh out this one first, right? So we have our enemy, that is normal. I will create a reference if I can. Is how that works? I'll see. So we'll do what? Var. Should I do var? Yeah, var wave command data equals wave root data dot commands next command to run. So it just kind of simplifies this. Okay. And then I'll just ask ChatGPT because I don't know Unity that well and C#. Will this copy? If so, how do I make it a reference instead? I mean, it's not that much memory, so like it doesn't really matter that much from a memory point of view. But it's just good to have good programming habits. Okay, if it holds a class, it does not copy the object. Commands holds a class instance, I guess. A struct will get copied. Really? So structs and classes are actually is that the only difference for classes and structs? That's crazy. No, wait. So in C# generally, is this a key difference between classes and structs? Oh my god. There you go. I've learned something new today. So, just to kind of explain this a bit, in C++, like in a language like C++, classes and structs are practically identical. If you want to pass a reference, you would do like, well, you wouldn't do var, you do auto, but like, let's say it was var, you just do var reference, and that's it. But because C# doesn't support this kind of like memory semantics, let's say, it seems that if you have a struct, it will copy, and if you have a class, it won't. So if you want it to be copyable, you do a public struct. Otherwise, you do a class. And I'm sure there's probably more differences as well between the two, but that's quite an important difference. Interesting. I was not aware of that. I kind of well, does it suck? I don't know. I probably prefer the C++ way, but it's definitely interesting. Anyway, so we've created a wavecommand data variable now. Var, by the way, just means that the type is automatic. So I could do WaveCommandSchema like this. But I'm not going to bother just because it's like, you can kind of figure it out. Right. Yeah. Anyway, so let's have a look. Once again, as a reference, we know we have our enemy. So enemies.calling towards the tutorial, that's already handled here. The code's already there, that's good. And then we have a count. So what does this actually do? Yeah, it will construct an enemy. Look at that. String enemy equals this. Bool flag equals false. Great name. I did not name this, by the way. That's just how it is by default. This like checks if the enemy is in the list of enemies. It's really weird. I don't really understand the point of this. Like all different enemy. Okay, that's actually not a very good name. All different enemies is a list of, well, enemies, I guess, or strings. Actually, sorry. Yes, it's list of strings, which is like all the enemies that will appear in the wave, and like it just checks. This function sucks, by the way, but it just checks like if our enemy string exists here, then it sets a flag to true, and then we'll spawn it. I guess it's like this way of seeing like, is the enemy valid? But if it is defined, like because this isn't a string normally anyway, it shouldn't matter. Because, like, what this does, WaveCommandSchema.enemy.key, just to break this down, it will go into, it will read from this, or the enemy thing. It will take the entry, so let's say we have calling torso tutorial. It will go here, and it will get the key. The key, I assume, is ID, so it will get this, and that's a string, and then it returns that. Now, if this doesn't exist, if this calling torso tutorial thing doesn't exist, then it will just return an error, because there's no key, right? Like, if this just wasn't here, then there would be no string. So just error, which means this check is completely useless, because if this flag was ever false, like if this ever failed, then it would just error anyway. So like nothing bad would happen. Well, I mean, obviously it would be bad. In fact, you know what? This wouldn't even compile, because like when you take your file, if I did something here like, I don't know, some enemy that does not exist, then when I compile this data bundle, my voice, man, when I compile this data bundle, it'll just tell me like some enemy that does not exist. So like it wouldn't even happen during the gameplay. Anyway, that's a really long explanation, but basically this is useless. So we can remove this, set this to true because it's always true, and then if this is always true, then this is always true as well. So then we don't need the if statement. And look at that, we have just reduced our code to 2 lines. Isn't it beautiful? So this works, and I'll prove it works right now. So let's go ahead and for God's sake, compile English. I didn't like add any other fields, so it should be okay. Oh, and I need to actually, where are we? Oh no, it's already type spawn. Okay, so it's type spawn. So then in the code it should do that, which also means the other ones won't work. But I wonder if spawn is like the default, in which case it would still work anyway. Let's just have a look here. Okay, got a wave. Alright, let's see what happens. Okay. So I can't move because I got an error here. What is the error? Character manager dot add character not set to an instance of an object. So I wonder if that's because of this code. To test this, I will add back. So like what I just explained about this being useless was just theoretical. I don't know if that's actually true. I assume it's true because that's just me being logical. But there could be some behind the scenes that I'm not aware of. So let's just add it back real quick and see if it makes a difference. I assume it won't, but it's good to check. Wow. Okay, it actually does make a difference. Okay, let's just see what spawns here as well. Well, there you go. Sometimes you think something will work, and then it turns out it doesn't. So it's always good to test when you make an assumption. I mean, at least for functional programming. For non-functional programming, for impure functions with side effects, because you never know what else is going on behind the scenes. So this is interesting. I wonder then why this is actually important. Okay, I have a guess, which is that these are all set to type spawn, which means here I have an empty enemy reference. Now, that would be a runtime error because it's expecting an enemy to spawn, but there is no enemy. So I'm going to test something. I'm gonna say, so I'm starting to move this, and instead just do if enemy does not, what the hell, does not equal string dot empty. So if enemy is not an empty string, then do this. And it should be empty if enemy.key does not exist. Let's give that a try. Well, I say not exist. It will exist, maybe, but just be an empty string. I don't know how the system works, like, fully. I thought it would error if there was nothing, like no enemy there, but I guess it just returns an empty string instead, which is fine. And yeah, I was correct. So that's fine. And that'll be fine. Okay. So just to reiterate that then. What happened was my assumption about this code. What the hell? This was, yeah, correct. So this is useless. Like this whole for each thing is still useless, because like this will always be true. But the difference is that this key thing, if there is no key, so like if the enemy does not exist, it will return an empty string, always. So like if I put in enemy that does not exist, it won't give me enemy that does not exist. No, it'll just give me an empty string. So while I could use this, right, to check, if I know that if there's an error, it'll be an empty string, then what I can do is just say, well, is it an empty string or not? So is enemy an empty string? And that's just a much, faster way of doing that. And that's it. So I don't love it because like it's not the most like intuitive. Like, what do you mean if it's an empty string? If it was more like if this was more like an optional, like a C# optional type. I don't know if that even exists in this version of C#. But if I had a type that was like maybe it's a string or maybe it's nothing, then I could do like if not enemy, right? But this will do for now, I suppose. And then it will construct the enemy. So that's cool. Now, the reason this also works is because spawn is clearly the default thing here. If I were to change this to, I guess I just change the order here to delay, and just make sure that delay is the first one. Then I should change all the others to also be delays by default. And then the ones that are marked as type will be spawn. So just to tell you what I'm predicting here. Here you see this is type spawn, so it should spawn an enemy. The rest of them have no type, so it should default to a duration, or a delay, sorry. And because of that, I should only get one enemy. So let's test that here. Interestingly, I do actually get all the enemies there at the beginning. Oh! Okay. No enemies have spawned. That's strange. Wow. See, sometimes you just make theories and they just sometimes. Most of the time you make theories and they just don't do anything. I wonder why that didn't work. Because type is spawn. So it should, it should spawn. But maybe it gets stuck somewhere else. Okay. I'm gonna bring this back. Whoops. And let's see how I can go about this. I'm gonna start by just removing the rest of these, just to make sure the spawn itself works, and it's not and that it's not spawn that's the issue. If only there were an easier, faster way to get through the screen. Okay, got my one enemy here. It should spawn. Yeah, I can hear it. So that works. Should be a victory. So if I have enemies but no type, the game seems to get stuck, which is interesting. Not sure why. Maybe because it's missing a command. I mean, if it's empty, it should just do nothing. Something here, maybe. No. Okay. I'm going to remove, well, not remove, but comment out this code and see if that fixes the issue. I also need to, sorry, recompile my bundle. So now they're all delayed by default, so they should do nothing. Interestingly, the game still like sees the zombies, so you can see here like the light zombie is here, even though he doesn't. Well, he shouldn't spawn. That's fine, whatever. Okay, I can hear. Sounds like many of them. What in the world? Okay. Yeah, okay, I see what's happening. That's interesting. So now it just spawns the same enemy infinitely. So the thing with modding a game, right? Like if you're coding a game, then obviously, you know, you can better understand what's going on. But when you're modding a game, like the most random stuff can happen just because you don't understand, like, or like, not even like you don't understand, but like you're just like not aware of the whole system. Mm. Well, so why does this spawn the same enemy multiple times? Probably because this doesn't advance. So see how I commented this out? Yeah, next command to run. So if I bring this back in, it should now just spawn one enemy. By the way, the reason I'm doing all this testing is just, it's like you could argue that this testing doesn't help me, you know, like it's not coding. Like me testing these small things, I don't have to do it, but it just helps me understand the system better, which is good, like long term. Okay, I hear one this time, so I should kill it, and the wave probably won't end, but it will stop enemies from spawning. Oh, never mind. Yeah, cool. Perfect. So now I have a much better understanding of how this system works. Yeah, so now the type for these is just delay by default. So no enemies will only spawn if the type is spawn, which is why I only got one enemy. However, I guess like the game's data analysis thing will just read enemy, 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 and like just add it up that way, which is fine. It just means that it's a bit inaccurate. And I might change that then to check the type as well first. In fact, I should probably do that now because I feel like I want to forget later. So let's look for enemy.key. Okay, that's there. Not really what I'm looking for. Let's have a look on a broader scale. That's boss enemy.key. That's also boss enemy.key. Okay. So this just looks for it here. So I'm trying to think how else we would add it then. I guess I just do, yeah, dot enemy. So let's do dot enemy. Ignore all these. Okay, all enemy keys. And let's swap. Wave manager maybe? No. Okay. This a bit more strict. If it's not empty, do that. Okay, wave schema. Initialize. What's this do? List2.add. What's list2? While list2.count is less than k max enemy types. Okay. Okay, what was this return? This returns a wave schema. Okay. Initializes like this. Enemy group info. Okay, this seems to be it. There's a class up here. Okay, so let's just look for that specific stuff again. So, what's text? See, these variable names are not helping me that much, but item.enemy. If it contains item.enemy, then add to the list. Okay. Yeah, wavefront schema dot enemy equals text. Cool. So let's do this. So this only goes if the enemy group is empty. Okay, so let's also do then and. Wow, that's interesting. String null. Okay, I'm actually going to copy this function over here. So instead of doing like not equals empty, I'll just do this. It's a bit more idiomatic. Um, idiomatic means like, actually, how do I even explain this? Yeah, that are like natural to a native speaker. So in programming, it means like it's it makes sense. Like it just makes better sense if you're reading it like English, basically, or whatever. I mean, obviously, most programming is in English, so I'll say English. But just generally, it's just what makes sense for human language. So this is null or empty. It just reads a lot more easily, and it also has the additional benefit of checking if it's null. Uh, so cool. So yeah, I'll do and item. Well, I guess I should do. Yeah, well, no, yeah, it'll have a default value. So item dot type, yeah, equals wave command schema dot type dot, or was it spawn? Okay. So now it should only read them if it's also a spawn type. So let's just test this by running our thing. And now it should ignore all the enemies that are not going to spawn, right? Basically, which is obviously what we want. That doesn't seem to have worked. Let's see if the count is different. Whoa. Okay, just one by default there. Well, okay, it has some effect at least. That's good to know. But not quite the effect I was looking for. What the hell? Um. Okay. Item. Okay. I'm just trying to think about why that didn't work. Because it makes sense to me. We're checking if the type, like for this to do its thing, it needs to also check if the type equals spawn. Maybe I changed like the wrong code and there's some other code as well that's important. Um, so I tell you what, let's just make this a lot more like simple. A while ago, I changed the wave like displayer thing. Not the best description of the name, but where was it? Great. Okay, you know what? Let me go to GitHub and look at my commits. Commit history. Yeah, so you see here, I mean, sorry, I didn't even like actually acknowledge that. When I played the game, if you noticed, I mean, I'll point it out later as well for those who are confused. But instead of like a percentage for how the wave completion, I changed it to be a number of the enemies remaining. So let's see how I did that. HUD wave info. Okay, so let's do HUD wave info. Look at that, there it is. And I just did it here. So how is enemies remaining actually calculated? Is the instance of total enemies minus instance of enemies killed so far. Okay, let's look at where total enemies comes from then. So yeah, Wave Manager, which is actually here, which is the m total enemies. Okay, where is that used? Or sorry, assigned. Equals singleton multiplayer data. Okay, what? Is this like a yeah? Okay, it's one of these things. I just this notation, man, it's just really messed up. But basically, if it's that, it's that. If it's that, it's that. And then it goes through and it does plus plus. So here you have a function analyze wave commands for stats. You can see here that's literally what it does. It takes our wave commands and it just like analyzes it and then gets statistics from it. So this is exactly what we want. We can see here it checks if the command type is spawn, then do this. So we're actually going to change this here. Instead of command type, we're going to oh my fuck, dude, my voice. We're going to do what's data? It's a command. It's a string. Not what I want. What's I? It's an integer. Also not what I want. That's funny. Okay, well, I'll just do wave root data dot commands I dot type. And then this will be wave command schema dot type dot spawn. Cool. Sorry, it's a switch statement. So it'll be like this. Yeah, cool. And now it should only add it if the type is spawn. So let's go back. And now I'm fairly confident that it will work. And turns out it was actually in a different file the whole time. Like from the one I changed the first time. Cool. So now you can see that it's ignoring the melee zombies because I only have one. And when I start the level, I should only have one here. Cool. You can see here that, okay, well, that's the thing. Unfortunately, I still won by default, so I need to fix that. Did I remove my code? I did. Okay. What's this do? Yeah, I just remove that. Not entirely sure why it just wins by default. That shouldn't happen. Um, this should still work. But okay, this is obviously that. So let's just do string enemy equals this. And then let's just put that inside instead. It's a bit more idiomatic anyway, because it says enemy instead of data. Data's really, well, it's not very helpful information. I'll add a default break for safety. Don't know if that's even necessary. I'll remove this because I'm not using it anymore. Yeah. Okay. That clears it. Why would it win by default? It wins if the total number of enemies has become, oh, like remaining enemies, sorry, is 0. So maybe the game just isn't built for one wave? I mean, I'll test this now. And then if it doesn't work, I'll try doing with 2 zombies instead. Like 3, whatever. Yeah, okay. Let me go ahead then and add more types. So this is going to be a spawn as well. And let's also make this one a spawn. So now I have 3 zombies. Why is it tabbing twice? Now I have 2 zombie spawns. Let's go ahead and just compile that to English. So I compile the English. Jeez. And let's try again. It shouldn't win by default. That's really weird. But you know, when you are modding something for a code base you didn't create, you're gonna get a lot of weird things. Yeah. Okay. Jeez, yeah. I mean, it's to be expected, but it still is not ideal. Is data used? No, data isn't used here, so we just delete that. I don't like this. Could it be? No, commands make sense. That's fine. Switching the type. I mean, for those who were looking at the top left, you would see that like the count was like 3 enemies left, because there were only a few enemies. So that's correct. Like that's how I know the code is working. But for some reason, it's also winning the game immediately, and I don't know what's causing that. Total number of enemies plus plus. This 100% happens. So yeah, like this has to happen because it's that's how it knows there are 3 enemies left. So why is the wave completing? Let's have a look for more uses of this. That's it. Okay, that's brilliant. Let's look for different uses then. Not floating session, not that. Probably not HUD either. You have enemies remaining. Yeah, that's that. No. Strange. So how does the game check then? Okay, so that's good to know. It means that this variable here is not actually considered for when the wave is won. So how do I check when the wave is completed? Mm, there's probably like enemies remaining. Nope. Left. Remain. What? It's here somewhere. Like there was like a enemies remaining thing. Enemies spawned so far. Enemies killed so far. Okay, that's a bit rubbish, but let's do that then. Actually, killed so far, maybe it's better. Register enemy killed. No, that's not it. Oh, this is strange. Victory. Win. Complete? I mean, there's like an is over, right? Over? Was that somewhere else? Is over. No, that's the hero's over. That's not right. I could have sworn it was here as a variable. Ah, it's done. Jeez, okay. So if next command to run is more equal to rave.commands.length. Oh, cool. Um, if you've watched this far, by the way, congratulations. Hopefully it's helping you just a bit. But I just want to point out, like there's that kind of like thinking, reading, and like having things in your mind of like trying to understand the whole code base. I mean, the whole code base, like pieces of it, so you can piece together information. It's like solving a puzzle, like a mystery. And then when you find the answer, look at that. It's a great feeling. So the issue here is that it's checking when the next command to run is greater or equal to the command's length. Um, Now, I'm not actually sure why that would fail it, but what I do know is that this command's.length is not really what you want to be using. Actually, that shouldn't be a problem now that I think about it. Because like this should go. Mm, could it be that it's because there's no spawn delay? But like it should check as well if the enemy is being killed. Because like otherwise, why would it say it's done? First of all, is this used anywhere? Yes, it is. Also, for some reason, this caps the spawn at 10 enemies. I might need to check that because that would mean that like you can only have 10 enemies maximum. I'm not sure why that would be there. Unless I'm just misunderstanding it. Ooh. Okay, let's see what else is used. Hopefully, it's used in other places. Yes, it is. Okay, so like probably like some kind of wave related function. Yeah, so you can see here if the enemies count is 0, then win. If the WaveManager is done, then win. So this is great. Now we're seeing like the proper logic behind what is causing the victory. If the health is over, what's this? So that's for multiplayer, isn't it? Yeah, so we can just ignore that because we're not a multiplayer. If flag, then lose. Okay, let's see. Let's see what else is used real quick. Okay, it's used in quite a few places. Okay, let's have a look for enemies count. What's characters manager? It's the characters manager. So it goes a new one. It adds the character, as the gates. Okay, cool. Um, as the hero, get player characters 1.count. Get percent done with wave equals 1, and count is less than or equal to 1, and the hero's Oh, actually, that's multiplayer again. But oh, so this is like okay. I mean, it's relevant, but I understand it. And then this is checking if the enemy's count is 0. If the enemy's count is 0, that means all the enemies have been defeated. But like, if they weren't defeated, then how is that happening? It's a course on update, right? But like, what is that? So let's have a look for. Hmm. Okay, this goes quite deep. It looks like. So let's have a look for the class. That is great. I'll put that up here. Okay, let's have a look for this update function. Um, Interesting. It's also good just looking at all this code because I need to figure out how I want to do my systems for Shin, a fan game I mentioned. Um, because I'm coding that from scratch, so I'm not modding it. I need to like code it all myself. So that's quite important then to get ideas like this. Okay, I'm really confused. Let's look for when. Where's it? Okay, that's the wrong file. I closed the file. Ah, if you're kidding me. Okay, let's keep it open. What was it called again? Mm, I forgot. Love when that happens. I think it was in-game implicit, right? Implementation, sorry. So let's look for enemies count. Um, for each character and characters, none plus plus. So if the owner ID equals 1 and not dynamic spawn. Okay, so just gets a list of characters. So when is it removed then? Then we also code here, I'm sure. Okay, all unique allies, update, add character, destroy character. So this removes it. Yeah, that's only used. Well, it's not used at all in this function. It's also used in characters manager. Oh wait, that's where I'm there right now. It says here. That's for killing the hero and wave manager. Okay, so now we're back in wave manager. This is replace help with enemy. Okay, that's different. That's for like corruption. Damn. And kill character just sets their health to 0. So then I'm guessing inside. So this is C. Let's look for character class. Right. If we go to update once again, we can see when they're dead. I feel like I don't need to be going this deep, but I'm just not finding what I'm looking for. If health is more than 0, else die. Okay, so let's look at the die function. Die method. Yeah, animation equals die. Do all that animation stuff. Okay. Die with animation. What in the world? This is structured so annoyingly. Why is it on died? Okay, that's empty. It's virtual. Great. So let's have a look for on died. It's only defined for helper. Why even bother then? Get leadership. Check leadership for cost buff? What? Okay, well, it can't be that then. That's useless. Control.die. Wait, does it trigger? It triggers on death event. I forgot to say, it uses events. Okay, so let's look for on death event. So public action. Enemy. Okay. Spawn offspring. Yeah, that's for like certain enemies. I'm guessing. Okay, delegate combine, yeah. Spawn extra collectible, not quite what I'm looking for. Man, okay, this is a dead end. I'm not finding why the wave would just automatically end. Interesting. Man, this is not good. This is not good at all. They're fruitless. I mean, that is the win method, right? Like these are the only few things that trigger it. You have this here for winning immediately, so that's like suicide. Oh yeah. Actually, I want to check if I run this command, does it like do an animation? Because that'd be so funny. Because like there's, oh no, that like kills all enemies there. Well, let's test this out. This is a bit off topic, off task, but I thought I'd try it. No, never mind. I can't do it until I fix it because the waves, because the spawn thing is gonna stop anything from spawning. Okay. Yeah. So sorry. These are the three places that call win. There are only 3 instances, and this is the only single player one. So if the wave manager is done and the enemies count is 0, from the wave manager, I cannot see anything that would like cause it to end early. Because the next command to run is it just called instantly? No, that's the issue. I guess so. But it says an enemy's count equals 0. It's like the enemy count has to equal 0 as well. I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing something really obvious. Is enemies count added to in some other way? Okay, let me just check again how enemies count is actually like added to. So we got characters manager, enemies count. God, I'm just mumbling now. Yeah, here we go. Just gets a list of characters. For each character in characters, bada bing, bada boom. So I'm guessing it checks how many are spawned. The reason it fails. Okay, I understand. I understand perfectly now. The reason that it ends immediately, and this is, by the way, obviously it's my fault for not recognizing it, but I just want to point out it's such a stupid reason that should have been coded like carefully in the first place. This checking code, right? Where are we? Okay, I closed it. Let me find it again, please. Yeah, sorry. So this code here, enemies count is enemies count like current. Is a current enemies count. Obviously not total. I mean, it's kind of obvious because otherwise it would never be 0, right? But that means that at the very beginning of the wave, because no enemies have spawned yet, this is 0. Which means if I have no delays in my spawns, then this next command to run, this is just an integer. It's not a good name. It should be called like an index or something. But like this is an integer that increases. So if right now in my code, because I haven't actually added delays yet, these spawn at the exact same time with no delays, which means this just goes immediately to the end of the sequence, like the command sequence, which means is done, is true, and this is just automatically true. And then because nothing has spawned yet, this is also true, and it just wins. Terrible. It's absolutely like it is shameful that this is even allowed to happen. So what it should actually do is this is okay, but there should be like first of all, why is this even here? I mean, I guess like it's done spawning, and that's the whole thing. So like this should be called like is done like is I don't know, like are commands done? Because like that would make more actual sense. But for now, let's just leave it as is done, and I say okay, fair enough. In that case, I'm at a new bool called isWaveComplete, and it will be is done, and it will also check if the enemies spawned so far and enemies killed so far. So the enemies killed so far is equal to the total number of enemies, right? What's wrong here? Int, semicolon. That's a rookie mistake. So it checks if you've killed all the actual total enemies, and that's it, right? Like that's all you need. And then for wave schema, sorry, in-game this, I'll just replace this with this. Sorry, that's all right. With with this. Like, goddamn, that's just so much clearer to read as well. Is wave complete. Win. So now, I will. Let's just open Anki. Just give that a second so I can close it. Python is a bit heavy because Anki uses Python. Please end task. Okay, right. So now it should work. 5 errors. What's that? Okay, I'm not sure why that's erroring. Seems to be a one-time thing. Probably because like I paused and like it. Yeah. So sorry, I'll just really quickly explain that for anyone watching. If you pause the game and then like update a script, it can cause issues with Unity because like it reloads the code while the game is still technically running. So that can cause some random errors. So let's go back here. And now it should spawn normally. So here you see we have 3 enemies. And just like that is how ignoring it. And it works, right? They don't spawn! Okay, that's great. So now they're not spawning, which is just fantastic. I will address that then. But first, I just want to test something. What's the command? Arg stop length equals 2. What? Oh, there are 2 args. Okay, like which arg? Which arg is it? End wave. Ah, so it's 2 things. So yeah, look, you have seppuku, which is like a special thing. So I kind of want to try this. End wave. Yeah, it just kills you. Cool. Concede. That should be a button in the actual game. Okay, so yeah. By the way, you finish one problem and then you get another one. And then you just keep going until you eventually stop getting problems. Welcome to Debugging 101. And modding has probably some of the most debugging you'll ever need to do ever, just because you're working with code that you that you didn't write, and a system that you didn't create. And games are extremely complex, so there's plenty of code that can break and fail randomly. I mean, obviously not randomly, but in your eyes, they're pretty much random. So, hopefully, to finish this off, it should just be a matter of fixing the spawn code, or rather the update cycle. Where is it? Here it is. Sorry. Yeah. So mdelay spawn timer should be 0 by default. Oh, if it's done, return. Yeah. See, this is the issue. Like, it's just not. Like, I need to complete this with is wave complete. Is done is kind of useless then. In fact, is it even used anymore? Now that I've done that. I mean, obviously it's used there, but is it used anywhere else? Okay, well, these will have their own, like, definitions. Yeah, it's there, I guess. Okay, I'll need to, like, refactor this whole is done thing later. But for now, it's just going to cause me issues. So, great. Now I should spawn them. And it will spawn them together. No spacing, because I haven't added spacing yet. No spawn. Okay, that didn't work. But that's okay. So, why might it have not worked? That's fine. Now I shouldn't be returning. Although, just to check, I will actually do a little log here. Unity engine.debug.log wave complete. And then that should be okay. Spawn delay timer, let me just double check it's actually 0. Okay, well, it must be 0 by default. I'm not sure why else it would be. Let's just set this to 0f. I mean, I know C# probably has like better default initialization than C++, but it just helps me to be explicit, doesn't it? Anything for spawning, like anything that might cause enemies just not feel like spawning. Spawn enemy. It doesn't check anything, does it? It shouldn't check anything because that kind of logic should be external. Looks good to me. Okay, let's look at spawn enemy. What the hell? Spawn enemy. Okay, I'm just gonna look like manager thought is done. Let's just look for some more instances of this manager. Really? Oh, because he uses this, right? This is for characters manager. Okay, I'm gonna just change these all to like is wave done. It should help just a little bit. Password death. Things like, yeah, I'm not really sure. Um, that's it. Let's see if that fixed it. Probably not, but oh, got an error even. Wave manager. It does. Oh, so is wave complete? Is that what it says? Oh, so many variables. Is wave complete? Whoopsie. Yeah, so is wave done? Just hell did I just change? Don't know. Okay. If it does work, that'd be nice. If it doesn't, then back to the drawing board or whatever. Still no spawns. Could it be because of the delay? Like there might be like an issue with the system in general, where like if you try to spawn enemies at the same time, like some kind of conflict happens and it stops. So I'm gonna spawn one enemy right now. Like realistically, there would be a delay anyway, right? In actual waves, but it's just good to like design a system that's flexible. So like it just works as expected, even when you're trying to do things that are unexpected, if that makes sense. So like even if I am doing something that like the system wasn't designed for per se, like it should still act in the way that you would expect when you break it down to like its lower parts. I mean that's my opinion. Of course, for optimization purposes, you might just not bother, but it just makes things easier to like work with as a programmer. Because we talk a lot about performance, but readability also matters. No spawn. Okay, so it's not a conflict issue. We have ruled out that possibility. Which means I'll change this back to what it was before, just to be safe. Right, let's not use it anymore. Also, this thing isn't logging, so I know that this isn't the issue. And as it is, I'm just blind. No, it wasn't. So that's fine. I am going to put a log here. The reason I'm writing Unity engine.debug, because usually you can just write debug.log, is because there's a debug class. Like there's a class called debug in this project, so it kind of like eats up. It overrides the Unity engine one, which is kind of annoying. Run next command. This might actually be an issue because it might just like run the next command infinitely. So let's just clear these errors. Yeah. Okay, so it's running the next command infinitely. So in this case, is done. Um, well, it's either that is wave complete, which has it run forever, or is done, which has it not run. Oh boy. Okay, well this makes more sense. It's wave complete, and then it should stop running commands when I've reached the max number of commands, right? Like why are we doing this? Like is done should just be doing that. So let's just I can kind of rework the whole is done thing later. But for now, let's just do m next command to run is greater than or equal to number of commands. Do I have that? Do I have a total number of commands? Here, commands.length. What's funny is that like it literally checks it here. But that doesn't work though, because like you need to have a delay, don't you? I don't really understand. It should spawn. It really should spawn. Like if I do is done. Yeah. Like it should run it 3 times. That's why I've now changed it, so it should run 1 time. Wait, did I even compile it? It'd be funny if I just didn't compile it. And that's the issue. So I expected to do this once. Yeah, okay, it ran 19 times. That's correct. Yeah, there's 1 zombie, so it did compile. If it has run 19 commands, then it should just do it. Like, it should fully run this command before going to the next command. So if it's a spawn, go ahead and construct the enemy. Which means if the database contains the enemy ID, which it does, of course, then construct it with effects, spawn enemy, spawn enemy. Just quickly read through this. Yeah, I'm not seeing any like additional logic. So yeah, why is it not spawning the enemy? That's really weird. It should be spawning it. But obviously it's not, so I need to look for something else. Let's change that. Run next command. Let's say that on this you'll also log spawned enemy. That's string. Yeah. Oh, for God's sake, put that inside. Which I should come after. Okay. So let's see if that gets pinged. Interpreted strings cannot be used. Great. Okay, then go old school. Old school string concatenation. That was a Haskell moment right there. Those who know. Yeah. So it's never spawned, which is really strange. What could it possibly be? Ah, it's this code. It returns early. What the frick, man? What the frick? What the hell is this? So this like checks for some boss spawn? Okay, I'm just gonna disable that because I'm not looking at a boss spawn system right now, and it's clearly just interrupting. Crazy. See what happens when you just read the code that's like in front of your eyes. So now it should spawn. No. The funny thing is like that was definitely a factor. but I guess there's more as well. Okay, well, if we start returning early, yeah, because that's returned there. So if we start returning early, and this is 100% happening, keep in mind it happens like, like this isn't asynchronous, it is procedural. So it should like run each time. But it's just not. Okay, let's do another log. We'll do next command to run dot to string, and we'll do running command index. So let's just see if this function is like, because like we checked the update loop, and like that part is called. Does that make sense? But the function clearly isn't. Sorry, the function is. Oh my god, the function is called, but the code isn't. The code that I want to be executed is not being executed. So let's see if this gets called. Yep, so it runs command 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. That's great. Not loving how it's not 0 indexed. Sorry, how it is 0 indexed. Why is it not 1 indexed? Well, that's literally like unless this gets. Oh wait, no, because the order doesn't matter. That's right. I forgot that the numbers here don't actually matter, so that's fine. Just a bit confusing. Don't love that in this case. So this gets run, and this just doesn't. With command data equals commands next command to run. So that should be fine. Running command. Okay, so that's done. So let's change this to wave type for this equals, and then we'll do wave command data dot type. What the hell? It's an enum, so I'll do dot to string. Just kind of praying that that works. I'm putting a plus sign because I'm not forgetful. Let's see if it compiles. It did. Now let's remove collapsing, so I can see everything in order. Delay, 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 spawn. Cool. So if it is spawn, then why on earth is this not being called? Enemy equals wave command data dot enemy dot key. Well, it's definitely valid. It's definitely a valid enemy. Is null or empty? Okay, so let's debug.log. I hate this so much. Trying to spawn enemy. Okay, just line by line, man, debugging. There's probably like some like debugger tool you can use, but first of all, I need to learn how to do that. And second of all, this is Unity 2017. This is Unity 2017, so I don't know what features are even available to me. Yeah, look at that. Trying to spawn enemy crawling torso tutorial. And then it just doesn't. You know? Like, can we talk about why this isn't being called? Obviously the string is null or empty. But like it's not null. And it's not empty. So if this works, I will be quite, I mean obviously I'll be happy, but I'd be quite annoyed because like why would that Why? How would the string be considered null if it's literally containing a string? Well, I'll be damned, it worked. So the whole time the issue was the string was null. Why? Oh my god. Okay, so rather than just bang our heads against the wall, let's just see if we can figure this out. Because it's good for knowledge, right? The more you know, the more you suffer. So let's say, what does string dot is null or empty actually do? It seemed to be returning true even when my string was not empty and contained content. Okay. So I'm guessing it's a reflection thing, in which case, fair enough, it is actually null. I say fair enough, it's not very fair. It does not make sense, but fine. Is there a string dot just is empty? No? Okay. That's fine then. At least it works, man. My voice is just giving up. So it works. That's the main thing. And to further test this, because we are not scaredy cats who are afraid to make sure their code actually works, why is my indentation size just not like? Why is tab doing double the indentation size if it knows that this is an like an indent? VS Code users rise up. So let's collapse that now, and let's just try. Okay, so all three should be like on top of each other, or at least as on top of each other as the game can. Yeah, exactly. All right, chat. My chat, I mean, wow, it works. So that's great. So let's say, oh my god, I can't remember what I was doing now. It's been like a good hour or so now, trying to do this one thing. What was it? Implement type system, I guess? Like implement wave command data type spawn system stuff. Yep, that sounds about right. And then we're not finished though, because I want to also um yeah, I want to figure out if I can make this required, because I don't want it to like default, to delay or whatever. Like I do want it to be spawn. Sorry, no, sorry, what? I don't want it to be spawn. I don't want it to default to anything. Obviously I could just add like a default and do it like that way, like handle the error that way. But I don't want to do that. Is there just like a data bundle required field or something? No, my IDE will not recognize it. So let's have a little search instead then. Data bundle for a class. So you got attribute. Okay. What's an attribute again? Sorry. Low key, I have no idea. Oh, is it like one of these things? No, that's a class. Okay, no comment. Custom context callback. Default. Oh, default value attribute. So this is for specifying a default. I can't speak. A default value. How does data bundle field differ from attribute? So we'll actually do some research on this. Did I misspell attribute? No. Okay. This is just not like me then. Is it not used? Oh. What? Okay, so it's just not used. That's great. Am I tripping? Am I actually like high? What's going on? Class attributes. Sorry. That's also not used. Okay, so we got 2 unused classes. That's a great start. By the way, all games are different, but most games are just not the most clean. So there'll just be like unused stuff everywhere, and that is lovely to sift through when you come to it. Drop down filter. Okay, that makes me wonder. I'm guessing that that's like for like their. I'm guessing they had like a C# tool they used to create like these files because I doubt they did it by hand. So I'm guessing like this. I'm guessing this drop down thing is that. Which is fair enough. Fair enough. Like I guess it'd be like an alternative to Unity's scriptable objects, which are quite limited anyway. To be honest, um, I don't like them honestly. And I mean, and it's been like a decade now, so they really have no excuse for being that underdeveloped. Field attributes. So this is just field attribute. Great. Hash objects. Key attributes. All these attribute things? These are really starting to get my nerves. This is a key, not a key attribute. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore the attribute stuff. Records are a whole thing. Runtime. Okay. Data bundle schema filter attribute. Oh, I'm so dumb, bro. The attribute, like it's the same thing, just without attribute. So this thing is for data bundle class. God damn, dude, my brain's just not working apparently. Okay, so let's go back to this then. So data bundle default value. I can use that, I'm guessing, to set this to something else. So for the sake of research, let's just do data bundle default value with, what was it? It's just a function. It doesn't accept enums. Well, that's not very useful. Um, maybe I can do this. Okay, that's not nice. Type dot spot. Yes, maybe. It's like instead of just yeah. Sorry, delay. And let's just make sure that this is well, yeah, it is default because we know from before. Maybe. Does not contain a constructor that takes 0 arguments. You know, what's crazy? It doesn't have 0 arguments, but that's just me, man. That's just me, I guess. Okay, let's look for like another one. Let's drop down editor fields. Notice how there's column width and you can set it to something, right? Does this not, can I not set value to something as an object? Yeah, but like that just means it could be anything. Man, what is going on? Do I need to like, does the order matter maybe? It shouldn't matter, but let's just, I don't know. How did that not copy the whole thing? Yeah, okay. Type delay then, since you hate me so much. Wait, I figured it couldn't, but it's not giving me any options. Okay then. It doesn't support enums, so let's just ignore that. Did I see a required attribute? There's field attribute. Ignore and build. That's cool. Identifier. Default width. So that's done by default then. Okay. Ignore and build equals false. Tooltip info. Is that part of, again, like the C# thing? Static resource. Identifier. What identifier? Don't know. Not seeing anything for like required here. Unfortunately. Key. That's the key. The keys, well, no, the key isn't required anyway. Record handle, record key. I mean, it's required in a different way. I mean, runtime. Okay, I'm not seeing a required thingy, which is a bit disheartening. I cannot lie. But okay. What I can do is just have I really don't want it to be spawned by default. So I'm creating a new variable, a different variable here called defaults. So then if it's anything that I don't want, it will just do nothing. And let's leave it like that for now. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Well, sorry, I mean, it's not the best way to do it, but it's the easiest way to handle it for now. And it doesn't really cause any issues. It just doesn't error, which is like the only issue, I guess. So add default to WaveCommandSchema.type to handle cases where type isn't specified. Yeah. What the okay, hopefully that didn't do anything. Cool. Great. We're making progress, chat. And by chat I mean listener, because there is no chat. I would stream this on Twitch, not gonna lie, or like YouTube, but God knows my computer just probably is. Wait, could I stream actually? You know what? I mean, my Wi-Fi isn't great. Oh yeah, no, Wi-Fi is the biggest issue. But I can stream on Discord, so maybe I can stream on YouTube. I mean, recordings are just better anyway because they're reliable. They won't just explode in your face. And if they do, then you know what? Sorry, they're not internet dependent. That's all I meant to say. Ooh, you're getting a bit too deep into the modding session when you start just uttering incoherencies. Spawn extra enemy. Okay. Is this even used? Legendary strike. Sure. Definitely need to like rename a bunch of these methods and stuff because some of the names aren't the best. But no one's perfect. Likewise, no project is perfect. No programming project is perfect. I'm sure the developers tried close to their best. But it doesn't change the fact that I need to still rename this stuff. Let's just start with this actually, because this is a local variable. Next command to run. I'm like command index. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I'll call them commands. I might call them like subwaves or something. Something like that. We'll see. Anyway, cool. So we've implemented spawn with no other options. Like it just spawns it. So we need to add count. We need to add spacing. We need to add start mode, yeah. And advanced acts can be implemented last because it's not too like it's not so attached that you can't just add it in later. But these are essential. So let's do, oh, for God's sake. Yeah. So where's it gone? Here we go. Okay. I'm gonna call it a wrap there for this video, for this session. As you can see, it is indeed 2 a.m. And I do need to wake up tomorrow, so I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, if you watched, well, hopefully, well, if you happened to watch this video fully, then incredible. You probably would have learned quite a bit just from watching me figure things out. Very valuable. But I do recommend that you know, well, you don't know, but I recommend that you try modding yourself, like try modding, yourself, because you learn from doing, like I've been doing, and you can watch someone do it and make mistakes, but until you're like in it yourself, like you're not thinking. Like I'm thinking, right? Because I'm solving all these problems. But for you to really get into that, you know, to like really improve as a programmer and a modder, you also need to be thinking, with your own brain. Um, Hopefully, if you've watched this at least like partially, you can see that. Well, I mean, like especially if you watched my thought process, I am, you know, like I am somewhat competent with C sharp, in general, and I do have a history of, well, have a fair bit of experience in programming. Not an expert by any means, but I have done other languages and stuff. So that obviously aids me, and some of my decisions can therefore be a bit, you know, confusing if you are not, if you are still like a beginner programmer. But hopefully it just gives you some insight into like if you just read the code and assuming you understand the semantics. If you don't understand the semantics, like you don't understand how to read C sharp, then you can just ask ChatGPT or whatever. It will help you. That's like probably the one of the best things is for just be like an encyclopedia of knowledge that you can reference. Um, yeah, but like once you get past that stage of learning to actually read C sharp, like once you can read C sharp, in this case, you know, for a C sharp game, then yeah, it's really just looking at the code, breaking it down, understand what's going on, looking like in other files. You'll notice I use a search feature a lot. Great feature. Love VS Code for it. It's really fast as well. Whatever IDE you're using, just make sure it has a search feature. If it doesn't, then get a different IDE. I'm not gonna lie to you, or a different text editor, or whatever. Because that lets you jump around files and like find the context for things. Or if you use like Rider or some like big IDE, that will like, you know, show you where things are from a bit better. That's also great. Like I can't track this back to this file. I have to do it manually, but I can track this, like this, whatever, stuff like that. Anyway, enough yapping. Highly recommend that if you want to do something, go do it. There is no tomorrow. If you suck at coding, then get good by just trying, modding, ChatGPT. Please do not ask ChatGPT to generate code for you. Okay, you'll notice that in this video, I don't think I've done that once. I haven't asked it to create code for me. I've just asked it to analyze code for me, which is a more useful thing. And if you look at what I've done today, 3 things. Literally just checking what get fields does and like, okay, like what's its function? Because I wasn't sure if it was part of the C Sharp API. Turns out, yes, it is. It's from reflection. Great. I didn't know the differences between classes and structs. I was like, okay, so like, are they references or not? If like, how do I get a reference without copying? And you know, that's also useful. Just a knowledge thing. And then this, like, okay, clearly this isn't acting as I intended. What does it actually do? These are great uses of ChatGPT. Even things like this, like how do I convert an integer to a string? Oh, you just do like number.toString. Great. And more stuff like that. So if you're going to use AI, that's the best way to use it because it will force you to still learn C# or whatever language you're doing it in. But you will learn it. I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to say it. You will learn C# because like at that point, ChatGPT is just teaching you how to learn how to use C#. Ugh. Or rather, how to read C# and how to write it. Without just like you copy pasting code. And you're modding anyway. Like you're modding. Like you're not writing a whole game engine. Like you are just changing a few lines here and there. Well, at least for like basic modding. So then you shouldn't need to generate code anyway. And if you did generate code, because ChatGPT is missing the context of the game, it will probably suck anyway. Let's be real. So a little note there. And yeah. Good luck to you. Next time I'm going to just implement these things and see how far I get. But let's just finish this video by looking at my commit history to see what progress we made today. So this is December 14th, sorry. So I did more schema fields, that's great. Learned how to do that, not too hard. Implemented the wave command data spawn system, which we did like 17 minutes ago, and then add this default field or enum element thing. Great. All right. Mandatory. Join the Samurai vs Zombies Discord server. Link in the description. You can help me with Shin Kaizen. Even if you're not a programmer, just give me like suggestions. I'll be happy to see them, and that's great. Like, subscribe, comment, ring the doorbell. The doorbell, yeah, that's right. And I'll see you in the next video.